We're basically done the unit on acceleration, velocity, fancy word, Roberto, kinematics. And we finished off looking at free fall. I put this together. This is all of the things that we can say we know if an object is in free fall. This is a handy study sheet when you're studying for your test. Your test is not this week. Your test is not next week. It's probably going to be the week after that, I think is what I'm looking at, give or take a day or two. And I'll let you know. You're going to get a study guide, and I got 2 more quizzes, one more just on free fall and one more on everything with a bunch of nasties for us to practice. And we've got a couple of activities we're going to do as well. So don't panic if you're still wrestling through this. You should be at the stage now where you're comfortable finding which equation fairly quickly, and you're comfortable rewriting most of them in your head. If you're not at that stage, you want to think about coming in for help during a flex block or after school. But let's begin. Free fall summary. If we drop an object from a cliff, what do I know the initial velocity is? 0. So I can say that VI is 0. So if it says thrown, they'll have to give me some kind of a velocity, but dropped, VI is 0. How do we find T? So let's suppose D ends up being, I'll make up, I don't know, 217 meters. First of all, why is that wrong? Why can't my displacement be 217 meters? Okay, if they gave it to me as 217, I would have to add the negative in front because we're ending it below from where I started. How would I find T? Well, we would say this: VI equals 0, A is negative 9.8, D equals negative 217, T equals question mark. Dallas, which equation has a VI, an A, a D, and a T in it? There is one. Yep. Except you wasted my time. What's VI in this situation? So what's VIT? Also, same answer. So just what's VIT? Also, same answer. Say the word 0. Okay, so it's just going to end up being D equals, and then you can write this several ways: a half AT squared, 0.5 AT squared. I usually write it as AT squared over 2 because I'm so lazy I don't even write the 1. Jordan, I don't care which version you want to use. Kobe sits there in my other block. Which version you want to use, it's all good. Okay, so if you like the 0.5 version, Jazz, I'm fine with that. I'll give you full credit. I usually write this. We want to get the T by itself. What side is the T on, Dallas? So what's going to drop down like a domino? Good. How will I move the A over? Yep. I know it's been a week. We got this. How would I move this 2 on the bottom over? Yep. That gives me a T squared. A T what? A T squared. Square root. Yep. That's definitely going to be on your test. Okay. It's going to be 2 times negative 217 divided by negative 9.8. What do you get? I have no idea. Nolan, what'd you get? That can't be right. There's no way it took 44 seconds to fall. That's a long time. So I like that you were looking at your calculator skeptically. Like, that's good. I've tried to give you some gut instincts of, I kind of know what values I should get. 6 point. Did you remember the square root? I don't think you remembered the square root, right? So hit square root answer button. The nice thing is it's an easy fix. What'd you get? Sorry? 6.65. Anybody else? Ooh, I think I just, don't clear your calculator. I'll come look in a second. Is 6.65. Okay, Mr. Dueck, you got to type it yourself. Okay. 6.65, is that what we're getting? Okay, let me go like this. You figured it out? Good. And I love this. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get the sloppy mistakes out of our system before we make them on the test. So this is fine. By the way, I don't know if you've ever been, if there's somewhere where you travel regularly or you're hiking where you come to a cliff. What if you want to figure out how high the cliff is? Drop a rock, time it with your smartphone, and then what do? Square the time, and be rough. In other words, if I get 6.2 seconds, I'll just square 6 seconds, 36. If I get 2.1 seconds, I'll just square 2 seconds, 4. Times by 10, 9.8, but times by 10, which all of you can do in your head, divide by 2, that'll give you a pretty good estimate of how high the cliff is, which, Charlie, it's nerd cred, but again, I think it adds to the hike if I can figure out stuff like that. I kind of like little things like that, so I'm a bit of a nerd that way. Okay. What can you tell me about VF? What is it not equal to when we hit the ground? It's not 0. First of all, it's going to be negative. So I wrote here, if we're given the height of a cliff, what must we do to make it or convert it to a displacement? We need to make it negative. Why? Because we're ending up below from where we started. I'll just draw an arrow pointing to the word y and write the word below. That's a common mistake that kids forget, even my physics 12s math. Oh, Mr. Dueck, I got the wrong answer. Is it a cliff? Did you remember to make d negative? Oh, yeah. Okay. In physics 11, if you forget to make the cliff negative displacement, you'll probably get an error on your calculator. So the universe will tap you on the shoulder. In physics 12, we do more complicated situations. You won't always get an error. You might not get an error. So you want to just pay attention to that. And what do we know about the impact velocity? The impact velocity is negative, and it is not 0. How would you figure out the impact velocity? You would either use VF equals AT, VI is 0, so you wouldn't need to write that, or VF squared equals 2AD. But if you use the squared one, your calculator will give you a positive answer, and you'll have to overrule it. What else can we do? Throwing an object upwards from the ground. Here, you're ending up above from where you started, so your height, your displacement will probably be positive. What do we know about the velocity at the top for a split second? Okay? What do we know? Oh, here we go. What do we know about V top? V top equals 0. Pause the video for a second. What do we know about VF compared to VI? Because we're starting and ending at the same place, we can use what goes up must come down. What do we know about VF compared to VI? Who remembers? If VI was equal to 12 meters per second, what's VF? Nope. That's for time. So negative 12. It's because you're going to hit the ground at the same speed that you left. On your way up, you're slowing down, slowing down, slowing down, slowing down, came to a stop, speeding up, speeding up, speeding up, speeding up, hitting the ground. It's going to be the same magnitude. We would say they have the same speed because speed is a scalar. We don't put the negative in front of speed, but we would say the velocity is the opposite. So what do we know about VF compared to VI? VF equals negative VI. That can be handy. Emily, this is kind of, I think, what you were alluding to. What do we know about the time to go up to the time to compared to the time to go down? So here's the time to get to the top. Here's the time to get to the bottom. What do you know about those two times? They are what? Yep, someone said it. I think someone said it. It's a four-letter word starting with S. And then an A. They're the same. Yeah, if it takes 3.1 seconds to get to the top, it'll take 3.1 seconds to get to the bottom. It doesn't work when you're on a cliff because you'll fall down for longer than you went up. But from the ground, if you're starting and ending at the same height, same location, then the time top, we can say time up equals time down. Time, oh, I was going to say, I was going to write it in brackets, but so how can we calculate the total time of flight? One easy way to do this is to say this: time total equals T up. Emily, what did you suggest a few minutes ago? Times 2. Okay. Before I turn the page, Haley, come back to this page. Um, Sometimes they don't give me VI, but they tell me the height. I know this velocity right here. I'll start at the top. I'll let VI be 0, and I can figure out how far I fell. Then I can use that to figure out what the height was, or what the time was, or what I can figure out V final when I hit the ground. That must have been V initial when I left. So with a bit of cleverness, we can figure out a lot of stuff. Just saying. Oh, pen stopped working mid-stroke. Now you can turn the page. This is the toughest one, throwing an object upwards from a cliff, or downwards, but throwing an object from a cliff. As soon as you have a cliff and you're not dropping, things become much more complicated. Because first of all, here's the time to the top, here's the time to the bottom. They're not the same. I can say some things here. I can certainly say V at the top is still 0. D, this is the displacement. I should put a vector sign on there because it's a displacement. That's still going to be, you're going to have to make it negative. The total height, if they asked you to figure that out, you would figure out this and then add the cliff height to it. All doable. We did one like that. And impact is not 0, it's going to be negative. So how do we find T? This is much more complicated. Let's make up some numbers here. Let's make an initial velocity of, I don't know, Caleb, give me a nice initial velocity between 20 and 50. 25 meters per second. So I'm going to go like this, equals 25 meters per second. Violet, give me a cliff height between 100 and 300 meters. We'll make it in, because most cliffs aren't that high, but we'll make it fun. It's a big cliff. 220? Okay. How would I find time? I would say T equals question mark, because I've written something down. I feel better. Oh, I do know A equals negative 9.8. What did you say VI was? 25? What if we were throwing it downwards instead of upwards? How would we tweak this number? It wouldn't be 25. It would be, how would I show downwards? Negative. Okay, so I can handle that. We're not going to do it in this case. What did you say the cliff height was? You said 220, except what am I going to have to do to make it a displacement? Because I am ending up definitely below from where I started. Okay. Dallas, which equation? Spoiler alert, same one. Which was the one that you said before? And now VI isn't 0. So our first attempt would be to use D equals VIT plus a half AT squared. What's the problem here? One of these values isn't 0. I can't get the T by itself. Who are my math 12s? Or who did math pre-calc 11 last year? Okay. You can solve this using the quadratic formula. I would argue right now, probably it's quicker to pivot. So what you can do is, I'll do it in red, you can just draw a single line through there. Don't cross, don't scribble it out. But we would try that first, and then we would say, oh, that's not going to work. But Dallas, do I have 3 things? Say yes. Then I can find something else. What can I find instead of time? What's the only thing missing here? I can find VF. This is our pivot. Oh, I like this question. I like this question. I like this question. So Roberto, we would say an equation with a VF, an A, a VI, and a D. I don't know time, so don't read me the only equation that doesn't have a T. There's only one. Squared, squared. Okay? So we would say VF squared equals VI squared plus 2 AD. How to get rid of the squared? And we would put a big square root like that. We would go, okay, it's going to be 25, don't forget the squared, plus 2 times negative 9.8 times negative 220. This one here, Vienna, if you missed making the displacement negative, you might not get an error on your calculator depending on what numbers I made up. So that's one of the reasons this one is trickier. It doesn't have the calculator error checks that will pop up. Go to your calculator once you've written that out. Oh, this is a problem. I got 2 of these open. Exit without saving state. Okay, let's try that again. Uh, you can do it in one step if you put the square root in brackets. If you have the fancy schmancy fraction button, you do a little indented square root anyways. Or you can type what's inside the square root, hit equals, and then go square root answer button, whichever you're more comfortable with. Roberto, let me know what you got. 70.26378868. Why must that be wrong? Okay, in this case, this is that weird time because we're visualizing this. We know VF is moving downwards. Our calculator doesn't know that, and so it assumed we wanted the positive root. This time we have to say we're going to use negative 70.26, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to just use negative answer button. Now, how does that help me to find time? Now that I have VF, I want to find time when VF equals negative 70.26, A equals did I round off properly? It's probably more digits. I'm going to using my answer button so I don't care. Yeah, negative 70.26, A equals negative 9.8, VI equals 25. I'm not going to use D. I'm not going to use D. Destiny, which equation has a T, a VF, an A, and a VI in it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. VF equals VI plus AT. Can you get the T by itself in your head? Okay, I'm going to go straight to that. VF minus VI over A. Now, how would I type this in? I would write negative 70.3 or 0.26 minus 25 all over negative 9.8. But instead of the 70.26, I'm going to hit negative answer button. It's less typing. It carries more sig figs. So I would go, I got to use brackets around the top. Those that have the fancy schmancy fraction button, that's great. But all of us, we can just go negative and then our answer button. Minus 25, close bracket, divided by negative 9.8. And I get, Matt, what'd you get? I don't think so. I'm getting 9.72 seconds. Okay. Now, if you didn't get that, don't clear your calculator. The only problem now, if you used your answer button, you got to kind of start over because now your answer button holds a different answer. You can't just backspace, fix your error, and hit equals. You've got to get that negative 70.26 back onto your calculator. Then I would probably just type negative 70.26. But 9.72 seconds. That's one of the situations where you have to use an answer to find an answer. And I am going to put this question on your test. Okay. Oh, some people are still writing. How do we find the total height? Well, to find the total height, if we go back to the picture here, I would find the distance to the top and then add the cliff height. And that's what I'm going to write here. How would we find the total height? I would find to the top. You know, how would I find d to the top? At the top, I know VF equals 0. A equals negative 9.8. VI equals, what did you say it was, 25? I'm going from memory. Let me know if I'm wrong. Brendan, is there an equation that has a D, a VF, an A, and a VI in it? Take your time. You got it. By the way, go ahead. What were you going to say? It's got a D, a VF, an A, and a VI in it. There is one. That's okay. We're waking up. It's been a week. Squared. Yeah. But by the way, it's up to you. Some of you are looking for the correct equation. What I actually do is I notice which variable is missing. Time. I go find the only equation that doesn't have a t in it. So I actually do a process of elimination approach, which to me is faster. Oh, which variable is missing? VI. I would read the only equation that have a VI in it. Or which variable is missing? A VF. I'd read the only equation that have a VF in it. Sometimes that gets you a little quicker. It's up to you. What did you say it was? Can you get the D by itself for me, please? Going to be VF squared dropping down like a domino. Yep. The VI what? Thank you. And then what you do with the 2 and the A? Divide them, right? That's what you're going to say? Okay. Once you have, and I'll call that D top, then I would say H total. It's going to be the distance to the top plus the height of the cliff. That's the word cliff. Make that so it doesn't look like a D. So that is fair game as far as I'm concerned. But we can figure that out. What I'm trying to get you to realize is, with a bit of cleverness, don't panic. You can figure out a lot of stuff in terms of free fall just with what we have and being clever. How do we find the height of the cliff? Well, it would depend on what they gave us, but we would use either D equals VIT plus a half AT squared, or we would use D equals VF squared minus VI squared all over 2A. We would need VF. We would need to figure it out because it's not 0. But those would give us, and then we would say these would give us displacements. We would get a negative answer because we ended up below from where we started from. And I would take the negative answer, but I would say technically heights are positive. And so in my answer key, you'll probably see me write the cliff height as a positive. Okay, Mr. Dueck, let's go like this and just so it doesn't overlap so much. If you want to, you can write in brackets negative displacements. And then it says, if we're given the height of a cliff, how do we convert it to a displacement? What if they give us the height? What do we need to do to change it into a displacement? Make it negative. Right? And again, why? Looking for a word that starts with the letter B. Okay, we're ending up below. Now, does that mean that D is always negative? No, if you know you're above from where you started, then it's definitely going to be positive. And this is why, Emily, you might recall when we started doing free fall, I said, now we're going to have to pay attention to the concept of vectors and direction a bit more. And then I already asked this question, but let's write this in our notes. If an object is thrown downwards, what changes? Okay. I might put the negative in for you. I might not. So that's a bit of a summary of Freefall. Go like this. We're gonna hit pause.